Hey class, I just wanted to give you a quick demonstration on some things that you'll need to know in order to merge your data in Tableau. So I'm assuming that most of you will be working with the L-train ridership data. And so I want to show you how you need to think about the data because you're going to have to join it with your movies data set. So I've got Tableau open. You can go ahead and drag in my movies with stations. This is the file I gave you. And you're going to want to join it with the L-train station. So I went out to the Chicago data portal and downloaded the L-train station. So movies data on the left, L-train station on the right. This is ridership data. You'll notice that it complains about the join. Well, if you look at it, if you click on it, it's trying to join the date from the movies data to the date on the L-train ridership data. So all the stuff in orange here comes from the L-train data. All the stuff in blue comes from the movies data. So it's trying to join this date. Do you notice that data type? That's a text data type. And if I come over here to the date on the ridership, notice the icon's different. That's a date data type. So they need to be the same in order to join them. So I am going to change the movies date to be a date, and now you can see that it's happy. Well, part of the issue here is you have to think about what data you want. And an inner join in this case is not the correct join, because if you think about it, the movies data only contains rows that represent days that movies occurred on. The L data contains rows both on days that movies occurred on and days that movies did not occur on. And for this project, you need to make a comparison between days with movies and days without movies in order to see if there's a difference in the ridership. So you don't want a inner join. If we did a left join, then that only keeps all the rows that are in the movies, but there's no rows that represent days without movies. So we need the right join. And now when you see this, if we update the data and look at the view, it's keeping all rows. I don't know why Tableau flips these. This is on the right, but it's on the left down here. It's keeping all rows from the L station data. And over here you can see there were no matching rows when we joined it on date. And so it just sticks nulls in here. So one way to check this out is if we come in here and we just take a look at, we'll look at the, let's look at station ID. We're going to take the closest L station ID and we're going to drag it to rows. And then we're going to take the station ID from the L train and drag it to text. And we just want it to count. So for this one 40,010, that's just one station. That's supposed to be the closest station to some park. It's telling us that there's 575 rows that were joined into that. And I'll let you think about this, but I'll tell you that that's not what we want. And let's just show you why. Because we are interested in the data being merged for any given movie in the park. We want ridership for the day that that movie occurred, but we only want ridership numbers for the station closest to that park. And because I've only joined on day, it's joining every station to this closest divvy station. So here you see there's my closest L station. There's my closest L station. It gets a little tricky here. These are all 40,010. But if I go over here and I look at the station ID from my L train, I get a row for every station that's in the data set. And that's not what I want because it's joining them. Do you see how the park is all Columbus Park? The real issue is, and I'd have to look at this, Monroe Dearborn is not the closest station to Monroe Park or to Columbus Park. Quincy Wells is not the closest station to Columbus Park. We would take a look and we'd want to see 40,001. Austin Forest Park, that's a station name, that's the station closest to Columbus Park. You're going to have to think about that. But the issue here is we can't just join on date. We also want to join on here station ID. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to join closest L station with station ID and take a look at the difference that that makes. Now I used to have like 500 something, now I only have 4. So then if you come in and look at the data, the question is, there's my, what do these 4 rows represent? And if you think about it, so notice that that station ID that came from the L train station, there's the closest station, so they're all the same. They should be the same. And if you look at the date, they're all different dates, which makes sense because we're taking the ridership from that day that the movie occurred on. We're taking the ridership from August 6th that the movie occurred on, and the ridership from June 27th that the movie occurred on, and then we're checking just the station ridership that's closest to the park. So to answer the question, this represents 4 different movies that have occurred in this park over however many years span that the data spans. So be careful with your joins. Let me know if you have questions.